This is another episode of the Blossom Podcast, your number one source for everything bariatric surgery, from pre-op to post-op. Registered dietitian Alex Conception gives you real, raw tips and motivation through your journey. This is the Blossom Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Blossom Podcast. We have a great, awesome guest and friend, but also a Blossom patient, talking to Santos Fernandez. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great.
Doing good. Where are you at right now?
I'm located in South Bend, Indiana.
Indiana, yeah. So we're 3 hours difference right now. How's the weather?
Actually, today, if you're looking behind me, it's our backyard. It's about 40 degrees and sunny, which is a good day for us.
Yeah, right now, we're not far from it. We're 55 degrees here in Vegas right now, but it's been really weird with the weather. It's hot. We've already reached above 80. Then we went back down to below 50. And it's like, what's going on? But it is what it is. I like to embrace this cold right now because I know the summers here in Vegas are going to be
brutal.
Extremely hot. I remember last year I was looking at my car, the temperature gauge hit like 130. I'm driving, I'm like, come on, this is supposed to go down. This is unreal. But I digress. So you've been to Blossom, had bariatric surgery, safe sleeve. What are your stats? Just to paint a picture for the audience. How tall are you?
I am 5'11".
5'11", and what was your weight at surgery?
Right at 280.
You're at 280, and how long ago was that?
We're going, I think, a little over a year now on my surgery date.
Right, yeah. So 1 year out, and what is your current weight?
I'm at 178.
178. So we're looking at right at 100 pounds.
Yes.
Weight loss. That is absolutely amazing. 1 year out. How do you feel?
Man, I couldn't probably altogether put it into words, but I feel like a new person, totally different, like a new man. Yeah.
How's your energy level?
My energy level is good. As by nature, I'm kind of a high energy kind of person, but I have noticed a tremendous stamina where I'm able to,
Keep going.
And not run out of breath. That was an immediate, one of the biggest things that I could see that, I could keep going and not be like completely about to pass out, out of breath.
Yeah, winded, even just regular activities of daily living. So
yes.
Santos here, he's a pastor, and you speak and you have to be high energy, right?
Yes.
And I've seen some of his sermons, and it is very high energy. If you think I'm high energy, it's pretty much the same, and I love it. So being able to have that energy and have that stamina. And on top of that, he's a entrepreneur, businessman, has properties and things like that too. So I can imagine the amount of energy that you do need, or I guess prior to this, how many breaks and rests.
Exactly.
We're 1 year out, rewind back a year. When did you start considering weight loss surgery?
So that's a good question you asked me, and I'll give you a little bit about my background. So I'm 47 years old. I'm the type of guy that you would see in going through high school. I always was the chubby guy. Always, I was always chubby, always overweight, and then even in high school struggled with my weight. Would get on these yo-yo diets. It's just my genetics. My family was overweight. I have a twin brother. He never struggled with. Yeah, I
didn't know that.
I have a twin brother, but we're night and day. He never struggled with the weight. He didn't receive the gene. So a lot of it was genetics, and of course my eating.
Mm-hmm.
Then after, and I would lose some weight, gain weight, lose weight. Then 2002, I got married, lost some weight for my wedding, but I was still, still chunky, and, would take diet pills, would go see nutritionists, try it all. Even through all that time, I try to always, because like you said, I was very active in my life. But the weight just kept on piling on. And then after we had 3 kids, we have 3 boys now. And at this, about a year and a half ago, I was seeing another nutritionist because, I just knew that eventually this was just probably going to get out of hand for me, my weight loss and my weight gain. And my family, my mother's had knee replacements. So, and I worried about in my future, if I continue to gain the weight, it's going to be bad on my knees, and would even cause me to maybe have an early knee surgery, which I just thought about the future. And so I thought, man, so I had a friend in Las Vegas. I preached there sometimes in Vegas, and she had the surgery, and she's my age. We went to school together, and she really pushed me over the edge to consider having the surgery because she was a lot like me, in good health, just overweight, struggled a lot. And so I thought, if she can do it, why can't I do it? So then I researched this, and you guys were just a very good fit for me because, you guys have the fast track, so you have to be in good health. But leading up to that, I remember we live here. I have about a 2-acre partial lot here where we live in. It heads out to the water. I don't know if you can see the lake there. I remember coming up from mowing the yard and trying to come up the hill and just gasping and gasping. I thought, what? I said, at that time, I think I was, 46. I said, I'm only 46 years old and I can't even hardly come up this hill. And, I have 3 boys. I thought, what kind of a dad, husband am I going to end up being at this rate? If I'm this way in the next 5-6 years, I'm just going to end up probably gaining more weight. So I was seeing a nutritionist, and the doctor, he says, Santos, I probably wouldn't say this to many of my clients, but I am going to tell you that you probably are a perfect candidate for the gastric sleeve. And actually, he recommended me. He says, I believe that this will be a good tool because, one, he knew that I worked out, so I did work out every morning, but of course, it's still your eating habits. It's the intake. So he says, you do a lot of the right things. He says, it's just your genetics. So he says, I'm recommending that you do fly out there and do it. So, I can continue on. You want the rest of the story?
So with that, you've gone through the ups and downs of weight loss. You've maintained your activity. When you say that you've dieted and you've gotten on the weight loss pills and you've seen a nutritionist, like, to what degree did you really put in effort? Did you fall off in terms of this was too much, or obviously the weight didn't come off to a degree that you wanted to? So where was that disconnect?
So when I would go see, there's a weight specialist here. He would it was controlled, so they were giving you phentermine, which is a controlled weight loss pill, and I would lose some of the weight. But what happens is, so if you're listening to this podcast and you say, well, I go to the weight doctor, I've lost some weight, the thing is that it cannot be sustained for a long time. It's not a long-term fix. And so for me, I would lose 20 pounds, I would lose 30 pounds, but then even at that, I would gain it back and then some, or I would see my body would become accustomed to it. And the doctor's not going to double down on you because it's bad for your heart. It would be like becoming a drug addict, I guess. He's not going to say, well, start taking 4 pills. He's just not going to do that. And then after so long, the body has to take a break from that. And he says, Santos, you're not going to be able to do this for the rest of your life with me. He said, this is just a short term. And then I would try over-the-counter products and I would lose some success. But overall, my metabolism was such that, basically, I would, when I would lose the weight, then I would start to eat again, and then I would start to gain it back, plus this up.
And I talk about this too, the metabolic adaptation, and why the sleeve is so valuable, because we can lose weight and it's been successful for you and you've been able to, but we all have our melting points. We all have our burning points. And if our willpower is not strong enough, like, to keep it at a level that is not sustainable for you, you will gain weight. And that is because of the metabolic adaptation. Our metabolism adapts and adjusts to what is consistent. So when you take your calories low and your metabolism adapts to it, you become more vulnerable for weight gain when you increase the calories. So where the sleeve will become beneficial is because, yes, you can have days of indulgence. It is not bad, but it's about balance. And that's what it's going to create, because without the tool, you are able to eat 10,000 calories. Obviously, that's extreme, but you're able to, and with the tool, if you do have a moment of weakness, so to speak, you can maybe have 5 bites of whatever that you are indulging on. And then you can reflect on that and you wouldn't take it overboard. And then we maintain that balance. So that's where the tool becomes a lot more beneficial. And how would you respond to that in your experience in terms of afterwards and how the eating habits have changed?
Man, so I'm going to give you, because I know there's people listening to this, And I tell a lot of people, like, I have never been addicted to drugs. I've never even drank in my life or smoked, thank God for that.
Wow.
So that to me is so it is so. And in ministry, um, I can only pray for you, but it's hard for me to reflect or to say, hey man, I've been there with you, Alex, or whatever, whoever it may be, because I've never been addicted to that. But to the person that says, well, why don't you just stop eating? Well, there, I can relate with you. I know what it's like. I'll just tell you, even when I would sometimes, like you talked about going off the wagon, even when I would be on my
Yeah.
weight loss program, I remember sometimes, I'd get up in the morning. I wasn't a big breakfast eater. So, 11 o'clock would roll around. I'd go through the McDonald's drive-thru and I'd get a meal and maybe a couple cookies. Then, of course, I'd come home. I'm the cook. I still do cook for my family. I would cook a meal, it may be roast, maybe fried chicken, a lot of carbs. I'd eat that. And then sometimes if it was that I had to go do a church meeting or something like that, I'd find myself running right back through again for in the evening. Now, granted, I've already had dinner and get me maybe a cheeseburger and a regular Coke and maybe a cookie.
And I'm sure there's some snacks at the church too. Right?
Exactly.
Have a cookie.
Exactly. Yeah. And people love to bless people, and they're like, "Hey, here's a cake." So, and of course, at night, one of my biggest hang-ups it would always be my worst culprit and would put the weight on. I mean, if I wanted to put on weight quick, is I got sometimes on a stuck mode of eating ice cream at night, and that would literally put pounds on by the day. I mean, literally.
Ice cream is good.
Oh yeah.
Good.
So I went from that's what was like my normal routine, and I know some of it, and of course I know these were bad habits and bad choices, and the consequences is putting the weight and then all these other things that happen to you. I'm fortunate that I was gaining up. At one point I was pushing the 300-pound threshold, but then I had worked myself down, especially before surgery. And so now after surgery, you know what, for me, and in reality, yes, I do love food, but I did not get up and saying today I live to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, I did have that going for me because I did not live to eat. So I knew that this would be a big change for me. But you eat to survive. You eat to live.
Exactly.
Get up and
So
say,
you're saying also your relationship with food has changed, and was that a struggle?
That was not much of a struggle. I remember through the surgery, and I won't lie, I only had one night where I can only one time remember one night where I was very frustrated. It had been, I had the surgery, come home, and it had already it might have been 2 or 3 weeks into the surgery. Of course, you can't eat,
Yeah.
and you're just sipping. And I remember laying in bed and just kind of because I think I was just having a moment of hunger. And that was the only moment that I was just, kind of a little bit frustrated, but that was the only time I can ever remember. And other than that, for me, whenever I would diet, my mindset was, I just wanted to feel full.
Yeah.
Now, see, I just wanted to feel full. So to me, they said, well, you're going to be real happy with this one, because if I feel full, that's even when I was always on diets, I would go try to figure out what was fat-free so I could just fill myself up with whatever. So that scenario for me has been a tremendous plus. So going into now, we have had, I'm a year out. So for me, like you talk about indulgement, I will say, I remember it was probably 3 months, 4 months after surgery, still not eating a whole lot. I remember they had brought in some kind of a strawberry shortcake that I really wanted. And I thought, man, I love that. It looks so good. I remember going to take a little slice, took one bite of it, and went straight to the bathroom and threw it up. That was a little bit disappointing because now, granted, I used the tool once. You shouldn't have had it. It's too early for you. And two, had I been able to eat a full slice, let's back up a little bit. So we call this, I make this homemade banana cake. And me and my wife and I would make it from scratch. And we called it crack cake.
Crack cake.
I've never done crack, but I know that means it's very addictive. So when we would make it, it would be nothing for me and my wife would just keep eating on it. And sometimes we could eat a half of it, which is crazy,
Yeah.
But it was just something you could indulge yourself. So once again, moving now, if somebody we have a cell group here where the church meets here, like I may sometimes take a bite of a brownie. I get to taste it. To me, I've tasted it. I've enjoyed it, but I already know that I can't indulge myself and say, wow, Alex, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to have 2 brownies. For me, one good thing about me, and I flew out a few weeks ago and seen you.
Yeah.
I have managed to be able, for me, my whole journey, we talked about this when I met you in person. I thought I was feeling pain. Pain is relative. It really isn't pain. It's more of a discomfort for me. Immediately, I don't like, and I'm a chicken. I'll tell you, I hate pain. I do not like pain. The worst thing that I've ever done was coming out of surgery. That was probably for me. I felt like I was dying.
I'll say, well, then you've gone through worse. You know, that was the worst thing that you'd have.
Oh, that was, yeah. And so there, I use it as a mechanism. I don't like to feel that discomfort, and I'm not willing to feel the discomfort to try to stuff another piece of whatever into me. So therefore, it has been a tremendous help to me because, you know, I may take the bite, but then I'll say, I'm not going to have another one. Why? Because I don't want to feel sick and I don't like the discomfort. So for me, I've used it. I know some people say, well, why do you feel discomfort? And like Alex said, it's a mechanism that's built into you. If you'll let it, use it as that tool.
You let it. That's the thing. And that's why that first 6 months is so important, because things do get easier. You do heal, right?
Yes.
And you can, agree or disagree that you are in less pain now than you were 8 months ago, right?
Exactly.
So you heal, and that is because, inflammation comes down, swelling comes down, and your ability to test your limits will eventually increase. But in the time period that you can use a tool to the maximum potential, that's where we learn. We utilize that and we recognize that this is my stopping point.
Exactly.
Let's not challenge it and let's not try to push it. And fortunately, you've been able to do that and recognize that, okay, this is some discomfort. This is actually what I feel when I'm full, or I know that while I'm sitting down, right? You were talking sitting down, you maybe need to stand up a little bit. For some people, it's the hiccups and the burps, and that's perfectly fine. But recognizing those cues becomes very beneficial, especially early on, to help with long-term success, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your experience at Blossom. How was it?
For me, it was, people have asked me this, and when they see me around, as Alex first seen me when I came back, he couldn't recognize me. So a lot of people, they haven't seen me around. I've had people, because I'm in the city a lot, I had a guy stop me and just start screaming from across the street. I don't even know who he was. He just says, "Where did you go?" I said, "What do you mean? Where's your other half?" So it is.
Where's your other half?
I've had people. We were at a conference, and the guy, he didn't have the guts to come up to me, and he thought maybe he had been, because it's so drastic. But I have told, and I'm real open about it, because I think it's a great tool. And you know what? Someone that is struggling, and like you said, unless you've been where we've been, and those that are listening to this broadcast, I know. Don't be ashamed. Why would you not want to give somebody a helping hand? Or save you may be saving their life. Exactly. And I know sometimes some people are like, I don't want to talk about it. I just want people to think that I did it on my own. You did do it on your own.
Yes.
Got some help. Even when you lose weight naturally, you still went to the gym. If you did go to the gym and you lost weight, you still did. It's you doing it. Nobody does it for you.
Yes. And you can still mess it up as well. So It is just a tool, just as you would use a screwdriver to screw in a screw, right? It's a screwdriver, and you're still doing the work.
Exactly. Right? You're still, so you shouldn't be ashamed of it, because it's a tool. By no means did this, Alex has said it very clear. I have I'm going to try to start a support group in our church. There's some people that have had different types of this. And there's one, she was so motivated by me that she ended up proceeding with this, but she's very concerned because she says her mom has failed. And we can talk that in a little bit about failure. So for me, I have tried to my best, because, came to you guys. I would highly recommend you guys any day of the week. I've talked to many people. I've given them your information. For one, it's you guys are very on top of everybody. And I'll tell you, and I'll give you a little bit of my journey. Went there to you guys. Alex knows about this. This was right out of COVID. They thought they had seen something on my heart. So out of great caution, and I was kind of disappointed, they said, "We're not going to proceed with your surgery. We want you to go home and get your heart checked." I've never been one to be sick. Flew home. I seen a cardiologist. He says, "There's nothing wrong." He says, "But, out of caution, they flew you home." So I felt like I said, now if they find something wrong, then maybe that's my sign that's not for me. Cardiologist says, "Nope, I think he himself said again, he said, I think you're a great candidate." Second doctor says, "You're a great candidate. I would reschedule." So, and you guys were very accommodating to me. You guys flew me. I flew back out, paid for my hotel room again. I will say from beginning to end, I don't know if I can fault you guys on anything. I mean, yeah, you guys put us in a hotel room,
Wow,
but
that's awesome.
you guys came right
Appreciate
out. The nurse comes right out. I think I will say this: if you're thinking about this or you're listening to this, if you don't listen to Alex, you don't listen to the instructions, of course you're going to fail, because why? It's just like he said, here's a screwdriver. This is how you use it. If you say, well, I'm going to use a knife. No, I gave you a screwdriver. This is exactly, and and it's not rocket science. They give you a lot of simple instructions, but those instructions are very important to follow. And I see now why, if you don't follow the instructions that Alex tries to give you, the surgeon gives you, it's all going to be pretty smooth, because they do so many tests and they're trying to find things, because they don't want you to fail and they don't want to have a problem while you're in the surgery room. So
Exactly.
I have told everybody, hands down, I do it again. They said, would you do this again? I said, I sure would. I would
Wonderful.
do it
That's
again.
awesome. And thank you for that. Yeah, we try to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and sending you back to get a second opinion on your heart. Of course, that is out of caution. I can't tell you, there's been a number of scenarios where out of caution, or even just coming here, individuals didn't know that they also had this. And it's like,
Yes,
wow, now this actually saved your life, but
exactly.
unfortunately we can't move forward at this point.
Yes,
But we identified something else that you do need to fix, and then we can come back. And same thing as you had come back, and we were able to get things moving.
yes.
And that's awesome. What made you choose Blossom over another bariatric, or through your research, so to speak?
Exactly. So I have my wife. My wife is an accountant. We have our insurance through her. Their insurance does not cover any of the bariatric surgery. And I will say this: one, even if they would have covered it here, because we have it here, and I could have probably did it. You guys are still very, the price that you guys give, and of course, I'm not going to say the prices. They can call you guys if they want to talk about that. Is still a fraction of what it would have cost. I will say this: here in Indiana, it's upward of 35 to 40,000 for this procedure that I had. Some insurances will cover it, and even sometimes the insurance even works with you guys. So that was it.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
guys do it. But if you're a cash patient, as I was, it was a fraction. But not only was that, it was as also was the fast track, and you guys were dealing with people that were not. You had to be healthy. So after I did my research, you could fly to Mexico and do it but I was not interested in leaving the country, as
Yes.
it was. Even Vegas was a little bit away from me, but I know I was still in the United States, and I knew that my family could come to get me if they had to, or if there was something that happened, they would be able to fly to see me. You leave the country, I think you're risking. I don't know that it's really worth that kind of a risk.
Yeah, and that is the biggest fear, is if there is a complication, not having a doctors here in the US, not taking on the liability or whatnot because of what you did in Mexico. Not saying that that's going to happen, but it happens.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that peace of mind. And of course, and we pride ourselves, and this is the follow-up, right? The post-op care, the amount of we've chatted, you've had questions, and we're still answering it. And we're talking today, a year later. And that is a testament to that, if it means anything, right?
Well, yeah, and I will say this, also, I don't know that all surgeons do this. I thought that was also a plus. You will have the direct line to your surgeon. You
Yes.
may, I didn't have any complications. Of course, you're going to have pain because you just came out of surgery. But other than that, I felt so, that to me was a big reassurance to say, here's my cell phone number. Not just, hey, you're not just, hey, you reached after hours, call me tomorrow. It's going to ring to his house. So, you hope not to have to call the surgeon, but if you
Yeah.
did, they're there for you. Alex
Yeah, of
can
course,
meet
just be cautious with that number. And don't say, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" It
exactly.
is more for an emergency. But
Mhm.
you do get the surgeon line, and you will have a surgeon be able to answer if you are having some issues or concerns and things like that as well, which is fantastic. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Now, did you struggle at all beyond that, what we discussed in terms of your mindset and week 3, wanting that food? Tell me more about the struggles that you had and complications in terms of family dynamic, food, your relationship with food, or even the actual weight loss itself? Struggles.
Yeah. So once again, I am the main cook at my house. I do all the cooking. I do a lot of comfort cooking at our home.
Mhm.
I knew that this was going to be in the beginning, I knew I wasn't going to eat. So, but I still had to cook for the family. Also, I am very much social with the church. So the beginning of time, I know they tell you, try not to go to events. But the first part of this, the biggest, and of course, another thing, as they recommend, they ask you, they put you, if you're even listening to this and you're about to do surgery, I would highly recommend, if they've asked, to stop drinking the pop, because it's, once you have the surgery, even if you say, well, I'm going to restart it again, you will not be doing that after surgery.
Yeah,
So
it's painful. It
can
be painful.
very painful. And it's really, and if you can just stay off of it altogether, it's, for the long haul, it's going to be worth it. And so I got off the pop, and after the surgery, you're not going to eat a whole lot. But I remember we went to the church had an activity, and they knew I had come home from surgery. So they were all watching me, and they had a big buffet table. And so I ended up getting this plate of food. It wasn't for me. And do you know that the whole congregation just gasped, "Brother Santos, no!"
Oh
And
my
I started
gosh.
laughing, because I saw
That's
it,
awesome.
and I said, "It's not for me, it's for my mom." And I said it down to my mom, and I sat there. I didn't drink, I didn't eat anything that day. I just come out of
I
surgery.
love that kind of support though, for
Oh
everybody to
man.
gasp.
They were just like, yeah, because they already knew that I couldn't eat. They're like, how's he going to do that? So of course, they watched me, because for me, I was losing weight very rapidly when I came home. Like every week they would see me, and I was losing sometimes 5 to 10 pounds a week. And
Mhm.
that was rapid. So to them, they were like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's just going to happen that way for me." Of course, it has leveled out right now. To say,
And
was there
everybody's
some,
different too. Just to add to that, you guys do a metabolic test, and
I'm going
get
to let
to
my thought out
see.
real quick.
Yeah,
Continue
yeah,
on.
yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah. So
The
we were talking
metabolic
about.
test. You talk about
Oh
the.
yeah, with the metabolic test, we get to see an insight into your metabolism, and of course the rules are going to be the same, but for those who do have a elevated metabolism, it can work a little bit faster and impact a little bit harder in terms of weight loss. And all you gotta do is increase the calories a little bit. But yes, the volume is going to be restricted, but that's where you can be a little bit more deliberate with your food choices, because you can consume some calorically dense foods that won't uncomfortably increase the volume, like adding some avocado, adding some peanut butter, something like that too, to your shake or to your meal. But yeah, at
Go
least
ahead.
we've stabilized now, and you're at a very healthy weight too.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I will say this, as you talked about, how was your journey? The first 6 months of my life, now remember, I know I could eat with the best of you guys. I could eat with the best of everybody, and I could put
Mhm.
it down. I could, when I wanted to, I could put it down. And but after I did it, I saw, I'm not going to say that it wasn't sometimes frustrating, because after 2 months, I thought, well, I could eat something. So, aside from the protein shakes, I would sometimes try to eat a tiny piece of cheese, and it would feel like it was very rough for me. And sometimes I would get disappointed that it didn't make me, that it hurt me. So I would just leave it alone. We would try again, and once again, Alex tells you, stay to the soft foods. But of course, us as humans, and what, 40 years of eating this kind of food,
Of
and
course.
all of a sudden I go, go underneath into surgery, come out the next day. Now, oh, boom, it's nothing for months now. So of course, you test and error. I would just try a little bite, and of course, it would hurt. It would be too painful for me. So I'd say, okay, I'm leaving that alone. Do you get sometimes disappointed? Of course, you're going to be disappointed, because you want to try that piece of salami that they
Mhm.
said, well, you eat protein. But for you, your body said, no, it's not.
Body said otherwise.
And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm sure you've had other guests on here. Eventually, you will be able to eat that piece of salami. It's
Mhm.
just not going to happen probably in the first 2 months, 3 months. Now, maybe for some people it may, but don't
Exactly.
be.
Everybody's different in how you
Exactly.
progress, how you heal. Your palate can change as well too. So
Mm,
that's where we can have those. Maybe you think you're not tolerating solid foods, or it could be the fact that you no longer like scrambled eggs or something like that, or it's not palatable anymore. So that can be, again, some some kind of trial and error that you'll have to filter through, but it doesn't mean you can't have it again. Try again later, maybe a few weeks or a month later. It's not the end of the road for that specific food. As long as you prioritize protein and veggies and you are deliberate with the protein and veggies, we can still create balance with foods that you do indulge on possibly down the line.
Something else I was going to say while we're talking too. Once again, I will tell you, Alex does not give you he's not giving you a million things to do, but I will tell you, I did listen to Alex and I see this, and he sometimes may sound like a broken record to you when you're there in his consultation, but he's obviously, I'll tell you, Alex is there for a reason. He's not there just because he's making millions. He's there to try to tell you, hey, I'm just telling you this for your own. You can either take it or leave it, but you're going to pay the consequences. So even to this day, the only way I can get the protein is through my protein shakes. I do eat for me, a lot of meat, beef, it's still kind of rough on me. So I know, and first thing Alex will tell you, and he'll tell you if you listen to this, if you already had the surgery, if you don't take your protein, get your protein into you, and you don't get your vitamin into you, you're going to have hair loss out of control. Yep, and I will say
muscle wasting,
yes,
things like that.
So people have asked me, they said, you don't look real sick. They always ask me, you look good, you look good. And I say, I attribute to one, I've tried to do what Alex says, take your vitamins every day. I take the one that they gave plus other fish oil and other things, but the main one is the bariatric pill. And then I make sure that I take I get my protein in every day. My hair, I had already been losing. My hair has actually got thicker because
nice.
Because I don't think I was ever even getting that much protein in my body, even when I wasn't having.
That's one thing a lot of people don't realize too. And I'm sure many can attest to this with the constipation and things like that, even just with the pre-op diet, that's your body adapting to the protein that you're not getting for years. And this comes like for a lot of people, what does your diet look like prior to this journey? And it usually starts with like a pastry or a bagel and a coffee in the morning with zero protein and maybe another and we don't even get any of that until dinner or maybe lunch, which is still going to be very little because that's just, and it's not necessarily bad. That's society. It's what we know. It's how we grew up. It's going to be what billions of dollars of marketing and ads will push you towards, cereal. What is cereal? There's no protein in that. And not only that, the ones that we want the most are the sweetest ones. We're talking, Lucky Charms and Frosted Flakes. And then not only that, they add marshmallows in it to make it even sweeter. So that's going to be what we know and how we even grew up. So switching that switch from leading with carbohydrates to leading with protein, of course, you're going to feel a little bit different. You're going to possibly get some constipation that you will have to adapt and adjust to, making sure you're getting adequate hydration. And yes, you do look healthy, which is amazing. Not only that, you look maybe 10 years younger. That's the first thing I noticed too. When I saw you, I was like, man, looking at the old picture, I was like, wow, you look at least 10 years younger, which is awesome. And for those of you who don't know, I'll probably put up a picture somewhere on the social media with this, but he looks like Mario Lopez, especially with the dimples. That's what you're looking like right now. That's your doppelganger. Mario Lopez.
There you go. About the constipation, you're right. You know what? There are going to be some pros and cons. And, in anything we do in life, there's pros and cons. And, to this day, I still take a stool softener right now because, like you said, it's just because we do not eat. Like you said, we're not stuffing ourselves full of French fries, full of cheeseburgers any longer. Those are not foods that are full of, so that's how you state it. I think eating, a lot of fatty foods. So you're going to be
fatty carbohydrates and just creating that balance. And not only that, it's in a surplus, of calories, where obviously we didn't get to the weight that we are with eating a little bit of carbohydrates. No, it was a lot. It wasn't because of a little bit of fat. It was a lot of fat. And that's how we get to that place, and it just becomes consistent. So the balance that we're trying to create is the amount of good that you did before. We're trying to switch it so you can have those foods, but you're going to do more good than bad. but that bad is still going to be there to where you can indulge a little bit, maintain a little bit of sanity, enjoy a birthday, enjoy Thanksgiving, enjoy Christmas, the celebrations. It's all there. But as long as you lead with the protein and veggies, you'll be successful, because now this tool will help you get there. And the negative side to not is muscle wasting, hair loss. You're going to be, you're going to be unhealthy in that regard. And you'll feel it too.
And I will say this, if Alex, if you don't listen to anything else, you need to listen to what he tells you, the protein and your vitamin. And I will say this, and if you don't like a certain protein, I suggest you find one that you do like, because
there's hundreds of different proteins out there. How's your, I do talk about mindset a lot, and a lot of what we struggle with is mindset. Did you do anything to prepare, or did you see any counselors afterwards, or anything of that nature in terms of creating this relationship with food?
So, and that is something to be said for me, because I did it all virtual. We did the virtual counseling, the virtual psych report analysis. And if you're on your way to have surgery, then you've probably already started these videos. I will say that they are extremely beneficial. You might say, well, I'm just going to whiz through them. I would tell you to listen to them, because you may think, well, I've got this all under control. You don't understand your own self, because you've never been deprived of this. What's about to happen? You're about to be deprived from something that you've done all your life. Usually that people that are having surgery are already in their 40s or 50s. So it's most of our life of bad habits. So let me give you, my friend, she has struggled. She's not been as successful as I was. Actually, she went the year and only was able to achieve about 45 pounds, which was and the doctor was very disappointed, because we understand the window. We have about a 6-month window. And I didn't really understand that until, as I was getting into it, about 3 months later, I realized, oh, wow, it's going to start slowing after the 6 months. Your body will.
And it's not that you physically can't do it. It's just that if you can't make a lifestyle change in these first 6 months when it's most impactful, it's not likely that you will. When it does get easier, like I was saying, inflammation will come down, swelling will come down, pain will come down, and your ability to test your limits will increase. So if you didn't actually make some lifestyle changes, yes, in the beginning, you will still lose weight, even if you still ate pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's gonna slow down, and it's gonna reverse, and then you're gonna be lost. Again, you're still gonna be lost. So what, continue. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's great. And so she was, and so basically what she had said, she says, I have food issues, and I struggle with people telling me no. Well, first of all, you've come to sign up for this. So you're signing up to say no to food. And of course, Alex is going to tell you, hey, you need to stay with vegetables and proteins. And so she managed to push herself beyond those limits, beyond that stopping point. But that's what the tool was for. And therefore, she finds herself now at a point where, like you said, that window has closed. She is still trying to maintain, but it's not nowhere where she could have been. And this is major surgery, although it's laparoscopic. Inside it was major. At one time, it was a wide open deal, but it's still major. It's a big thing that you go before. And so and she did have a psychologist, and they passed her, but ultimately your own mind has to get wrapped around and say, what do I really want this? And because like you said, Alex, people ask me, well, I said, I could have come home, and although I could not have solid foods, I know I could have had a milkshake from Dairy Queen, and that because it's soft, and I know I would have got it down.
And some people do it.
And then you're like, why would I want to have that milkshake with that extremely fat content, calorie content, when I'm trying to lose weight? And I think there's where some people are still having those. And she's a high coffee drinker, where they like those frappes and caramel.
Yeah, and putting the cream and sugar and all of those things.
And so and then here you're like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and it adds up. And all of a sudden you find yourself, once again, like you said, Alex will, if you've already been with Alex, he's told you this is where the calories that you need to keep to maintain the weight loss. So obviously, all I can figure is that she's been overdoing the
Exactly. She can't say no, and she doesn't. And sometimes I recognize this in some patients, and I tell them this is why after 6 months, if you like fruit, if you like starchy vegetables, if you like rice, it's unrealistic to keep it out of your life forever. But what is realistic is for you to challenge yourself for 6 months, especially with this tool. And by me telling you that, it deactivates that, no, you can't have it. So I'm telling you, you can have it, but we need to heal first, and then you can have it and get to where we need to be. Because I don't like to demonize fruit. I don't like to demonize those things. I don't want you to think by having an apple, you're going to gain 100 pounds. No, it's just that understanding you can only take a couple bites, and a couple bites of lettuce, from a salad, you're going to be done and you didn't have any protein. A couple bites of fruit, you're done, and all you had was sugar. You didn't have any protein. So that's kind of like, there is a method to the madness, but also sometimes we do have to deactivate that, because yes, once you say you can't have something, we want something. Oh, and that's where it becomes more difficult. But yeah, no, that's good. And it's good that you've recognized that in somebody else as well. And hopefully she's gonna be able to talk to somebody and take the proper steps to continue.
And and like you said, and even I would say the other thing was to the surgery is this, Alex has tried to, at first you're going to recover, but then, even if it's walking, or people say, well, I don't have time to exercise. You know what? There are 10-minute video sessions that you can get on, even minutes. For people. Exactly. I use one that's called the Body Project. He does anything from off the chart hour deals to 10-minute with bad knees. You say, well, I have bad knees. I'm telling you, there's 10-minute ones. And you cannot imagine the significance you will do by just going and starting that 10 to 20 minutes and work yourself up.
When did you start working out?
Now that I did, I was over, so I kind of worked out prior to, but then I had the surgery, and I think you guys gave me, what was the restriction after surgery?
So 4 weeks, when your surgical sites have pretty much completely healed, that's when you can start introducing resistance exercises, weight bearing exercises. Otherwise, you're not limited to steady state cardio. For that first 4 weeks, we're talking about walking on a treadmill, walking on an incline, recumbent bike, elliptical stairs. That's all good. But then also you have a 15-pound weight restriction in the first 2 weeks. So typically I say after 4 weeks, you can start introducing some exercise. Is that what you did?
So that's exactly what I did. I think I was walking, I'm very active. So I was, kept it, didn't lift anything, didn't do any of my weights. And about after 4 weeks, then I started back up to my routine of my Body Project. And I do weights, cardio, and that's kind of what I try to work out 6 days a week. I take usually 1 day off. So
and how was that? How did that impact your energy? Were you low in energy? Did you increase your calories at that point once you started amping it up?
For me, and that's probably why I lost. For me, until just recently, maybe the last 2 months, I still I'm not able to intake a lot of food at one time. So for me, and because my job I'm in my vehicle a lot. And of course, so I take the protein shakes. I try to, so my meals I just don't eat a whole lot during the day. I do the protein shakes, which I know that's probably not the best thing, but
it's fine.
It does supplement my calories and the protein that I need. And then at dinner time. So I will say this in the beginning, sometimes, like you said, because you have to have fuel.
Yes, that is the
people
thing.
Say, I'm so tired, Alex. I'm so tired. Well, then you need to be sucking down a protein drink. And if you're
grab a protein shake. It's just the most convenient and the easiest way to get protein, and that's why I like that. But even snacking on some like jerky or something, while you're in the car, that's fine. But just being aware of the overall calories, because once you switch over to things like nuts, that's where an ounce will yield 150, 200 calories. Whereas a shake is also 150, 200 calories, but you're going to get a lot more protein and you're going to stay full faster, longer, things like that.
Exactly. So overall, it has been for me, I've kind of, and I think everybody's going to work out to their own extent what works best for them. But I will say, I have talked to some people, they try to use excuses. And of course, we don't have Alex living in our house, because Alex be like, where's your protein? Where's your protein? But that's in my mind. But I know the benefits of not having, I know that if I was not taking the protein, I would be sick. I know because I know what else would I be living on? I mean, yes, you eat a little bit of meat, but there's no way that I could get the nutrient value into my system without those drinks. So in saying that, there's a lot of people I've talked to say, well, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like Premier Protein. Oh, I don't like. I like to myself.
Try another one.
So this lady that I'm referring to, she doesn't look good, and she kind of looks. And I think, why I can sense that you're not probably doing right. And her daughter says she's not doing what she's supposed to. But once again, Alex gives you the information. There's simple tools. It's not the end of the road. And I can't tell you how much it will benefit your skin. It will help you will look and feel better. And like
the energy is going to be there, the strength and things like that as well. And that's the key, because the calories are so low, that's why we need the protein to sustain your metabolism and prevent muscle breakdown for energy. And of course, hair loss as well, so that's where it's at. What does your workout regimen look like now?
So right now I'm an early riser. I get up between 5:30 and 6. I get up and I do about an hour weights. So I do about 25. I do some weight exercising, which is lifting bells, some squats. Then I do some cardio. And it's all instructed through Body Project. That's just I've been with them. I've been with it for about several years. And for me, he does so many different mix-ups because you can get bored of anything.
Yeah, of course. So changing up. But what I do love is that you are using resistance exercise. That's one thing, that we don't realize, is that when you just walk, it's at some point your body is gonna recognize that as just activities of daily living, and it's not really challenging.
Exactly.
So being able to do that, you will be able to increase your metabolism and maintain your metabolism, and of course, everything that goes along with the resistance exercises, you'll benefit from that as well. But that's awesome. I'm glad. Again, you look amazing. The weight loss, you don't. Well, actually, one more question. Did you have loose skin?
So overall, as far as my arms, all that, my higher up chest is all gotten pretty well. My lower stomach is still loose. And so something I am considering to do, it's not like crazy because a lot of it has retracted, but I am considering possibly maybe cool sculpting. It's not that bad for me. So overall, my skin has receded for the most part. I do have some loose skin still, but
it's hard. I mean, 100 pounds is a lot,
and
there's no guarantee.
Rapidly.
Yeah, there's no guarantee into the lack of loose skin, even as you did everything correctly in terms of getting adequate protein, exercising, doing resistance exercises. That's what's gonna taking your supplements, drinking your water. That's gonna give you the best in terms of loose skin, but it cannot take away how much weight that you're going to be losing in that amount of time. Yes. So it's still a factor. And that's why I was questioning, because some have lost a greater, percentage. I had a lot more to lose. And of course it's there. And there are interventions for that, with plastic surgery and having skin removal and things like that. So that's where I was just wondering if you were doing any of that.
Yeah, it's very minimal for me. It wasn't too bad. And I kind of knew going in that it wouldn't be too bad because, my weight wasn't really in my arms. And so that is all kind of just,
Yeah. And so now you can see it like more toned. Right?
Exactly. It has really. And that's, once again, listen to Alex. That's why you said more than, in the beginning, just start with walking, but eventually add 5 pounds.
Yes, exactly.
And it will you will see great benefits by those little bit of weight increases as you're doing your work.
And there's so many programs out there too, just like how you were saying, what you use, and then they switch it up. Or you can even, if you have the resources, hire a personal trainer just to get the fundamentals and get a program. I mean, for the most part, I feel like all the gyms are open now, right? And considering everything we've gone through with COVID. But if there is, we've been talking for a while now. We've got a lot of knowledge bombs on this, and I'm sure the people are going to love it. But is there a couple takeaways, 2 to 3 takeaways that you would tell somebody listening right now that you wish you knew and you want them to hear, considering Blossom or weight loss surgery?
Yeah. So, some people were for me having the surgery. My family was extremely concerned. They're like, why don't you just use self-will? So I would speak first to you. You're like, well, maybe I just need to buckle down. It is hard for people that have not been in the shoes that I'm in. And Alex has deals with hundreds of patients. And if you're listening to this, it is hard for someone to really understand where you're at. But I can assure you that I've been where you're at. I've been there, and sometimes there's just really not. You need this tool to succeed. So I would tell you, some people are discouraging you from doing this surgery. I would tell if you've tried other avenues and it's failed, then I would highly encourage you. You know what? Listen to yourself. Listen to what's best for you. And the outcome, where you've been, how you feel. And I would say, what, if I would have listened to people discouraging me from getting this done, I would probably be 300 plus right now and very miserable and on my way probably to a very unhealthy later on in my life. For me, I would say that this surgery, I don't know that it saved my life, but it changed my life. So Blossom changed my life for the better. It was a tremendous tool for me. Once again, is it the magic bullet? Absolutely not. But it is a tremendous tool that will get you to where you want to be. If you apply the tool correctly, it will get you to where you want to be.
You actually have to commit to it,
yes,
and be deliberate with your choices, because like I say, this is not an absolute solution. It is a tool. So yeah.
And and I would just say, what, give it a chance. And if you're nervous about it, I know sometimes this was the first surgery I had ever had in my life.
Wow.
I never had surgery ever in my life, never been sick in my life. I have very low blood pressure. The doctor says you're always in good health. Not to say that, knock on wood, it wouldn't be in the future. So yeah, I was kind of apprehensive about it, but I will tell you this, Blossom, and I probably wouldn't say this if it wasn't truth, because I wouldn't even be on this live with Alex today. Alex, Blossom is 100+% in what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're not fly by night company. They are. And what really impressed me is this is their only occupation. They're not saying, well, we do eye lifts here and then we'll do a little Botox here for you and all that. They're like, no, I don't think I want you to be, this guy. That's all they focus on. This is what they're focused for. They're specialized in this. This is what they're all about. And so why would I want to go to a general surgeon that, well, I do this and I do that? No. This is what they specialize. This is all they do. And I'm telling you, they know what they're doing. And I've seen time and time, testimony after testimony, and I would highly recommend you. And I'll leave you
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Santos. Those are very beautiful words, and we all feel it, and we all thank you from the bottom of our hearts too. We didn't even actually set up this chat until you came in for your follow-up.
Exactly.
And it was because you were preaching here in Las Vegas as well, which is fantastic. And I'm glad that we did make this happen. And thank you so much again for coming on and chatting with me.
Anytime.
Well, you let me know if you need anything. All right. Shoot me an email, give us a call, and we'll definitely follow up again.
All right. You have a good day.
You too, man. Have a good day. Thank you, my friend.
See you guys around. All right.
Bye now.
This was another episode of the Blossom Podcast. For more motivation and future episodes with Alex, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any life-changing moments.